The rooms are deep and dark within the house upon the hill. No one lived in it before, and I swear it's cycled still. Question resides in my mind that I can understand. Who could construct a house so old if not the hands of man? For in my studies I have found nobody built this place, and I fear that it was here before the human race. There is an ancient entity that lives within its walls, and for the darkness in your soul you'll hear its silent calls. Each of us have something dark and horrid in our souls. We may not feel it, but this entity it surely knows. Feeds upon the hatred that we feel deep in our hearts. It's here your fear becomes so real it rips your soul apart. The story's old and many told of the house where no one lives. Many people enter it, they are never seen again. Something that frightens me the most is when it takes control. What we call a soul is lost and the darkness seems to grow. For many, many years ago the darkness was confined, but every soul the harbinger collects affects mankind. And woe be unto you, for trapped in darkness you won't die, forever tortured by the lack of light you have inside. And with each passing year the world we live in it gets worse, until the time when all mankind is lost within its curse. The entity it has a way of knowing what is dear within us all, creating the destruction that we fear. We cannot win when our darkest desires become real, for can we truly vanquish what we see and what we feel? Through further studies I have found it doesn't matter where you live on earth, you'll hear its call in hopeless, bleak despair. And without knowing how or why, you'll find you standing there, facing its rotted, moldy doors and entering its lair. But have no fear, for hopelessness is what it throws upon your heart and soul. Believe what you perceive, and it has won. And even though we all have a darkness deep inside, not everyone can find this place no matter how they try. Only the few who let the darkness suffocate their lives. The powers that be cannot perceive where the entity began, for darkness was around before the dawn of time, my friend, and will remain unchanged after mankind's final breath. So listen very closely to the story that I tell. We've given this hateful place a name, and I'm sure you know it well. I wonder how the darkness felt before we called it hell, 'cause our perceptions of it change to match the things we tell ourselves. There is a simple message carved deeply on its walls for any man to understand. It's written in every tongue. Death is what it spells, and the darkness where it started from, 'cause the darkness eternally accepts the hopeless forever in these halls. You may be having thoughts by now that humans always fail, for when they're trapped inside this house, they're tortured by themselves. And you are right, but that is why I write this story down. I will not let the whole world die. I know the time is now. For as the darkness grows, it can't control who hears the sound. Its silent call within us all resounds from all around. And very soon it will have free reigns upon this earth, no longer confined by the curse created by man's birth. And we will all begin to fall when facing its terrible truth. The light inside us all is gone. We've lost what we are worth. But I remember quite clearly when I was just a child, something my granddad used to tell me with a wild smile. One day the human race will have to face its greatest trial. When stitching cloth, take one pin out and it falls in a pile. One small mistake and it's a waste, it has no shape or style. If just one man finds hope within, then it is worth the while. I couldn't comprehend back then just what it was he meant, but now it is quite clear to me, the message that he sent. What happens to a chain when just one link in it is bent? Replace the link, or the whole chain has to begin again. The lesson I know my granddad tried to tell me on those days is that darkness forever seems to grow, but we always find a way to push the darkness back to its original resting place. If just one man can leave this house while the hope in his heart remains, then the entity's been bested again and humanity's been saved.